Surgery is not the answer for lipedema. I know, right? It's the holy grail, isn't it? Like everybody thinks, oh, if I could just afford the surgery, everything would be okay. Let's talk about that. And let's talk honestly about that because I would love for there to be a holy grail for lipedema just as much as you would. Unfortunately, there's a big problem with this solution or answer that nobody really considers. Or even if we do, we kind of just like push it in the background and don't think too hard about it. And that is that whatever got you into the situation of your lipedema growing, because some people have lipedema and it just does not grow, right? It just kind of stays with maybe chubbier thighs, thicker thighs, that kind of thing. And then that's about it for whatever reason. The rest of us, it grows, high hormonal times, puberty, pregnancy, menopause, or in my case, thyroid getting out of whack was what grew mine really quickly. Now, you have surgery and it's all been sucked out, right? So my arms, all the lipedema has been taken out of the arms and you can just see the scar there. However, if I go back to eating a high plant-based diet, and I know this is going to be very controversial for some of you, if I have a life of seed oils, and that's where the seed oils came in because I ate a high plant-based diet. I was making all the raw desserts and my own mayonnaise with seed oils. Okay, so I'm going to say maybe it wasn't so much the plants as it was all the seed oils that I was consuming with those plants. Who knows? Um, Anything that you're doing before surgery that contributes to lipedema growth, if you do not remove them from your life, it will continue to grow your lipedema after surgery. And this is a huge thing to understand because surgery, yes, it's the holy grail. It's kind of the only thing that we've got that will reset us and get us back to, a clean slate again. It's kind of what it does. Okay. What you put on that slate after the surgery is up to you. So we spend a fortune on these sorts of surgeries. This surgery in Australia was $25,000. All right. Here in Bangkok, it's not so much, but in Australia, $25,000. And if I did not look after myself, if I consumed a lot of seed oils, if I ate a highly inflammatory diet, if I continued to eat high carbs, grains, I started to go down the road of eating quite a bit of rice here in Bangkok because it comes on everything. And it doesn't seem to affect my weight. That's the key. I get on the scales every single day and it doesn't seem to affect my weight. But it did affect my legs. My legs started to puff out. So that's the inflammation starting, right? So if we do any of those things, lots of processed foods, right? Thailand's the land of processed food just as much as the land of street food. It's quite bizarre. I am absolutely gobsmacked by the amount of processed foods here, right alongside the homemade from scratch kind of foods. It's like this dichotomy of like ironies. It's really bizarre. But any surgery you have, any surgery I have, if I don't take care of things and maintain things after the surgery, it's going to come back. I see it time and time again in all the lipedema pages. And, people say, oh, it just grew back. It grew back because inflammation and hormones are out of whack, right? They're the two reasons that lipedema can grow back. Is the estrogen drives it, estrogen, my thyroid disease, if your thyroid's out of whack, and many of us have thyroid disease as well as lipedema. So any hormones that are out of whack, insulin is another hormone. So insulin and sugar. So if your blood sugar's going up and down because, one day you're eating high plants or high carbs or desserts or whatever, and then the next day you're being really good and eating carnivore and those sorts of things, your blood sugar is going to be doing this. So your hormones are just all over the place, and it has a profound effect on our lipedema. So there's so many different ways that we could sabotage a surgery that we've paid lots of money for. You know, my legs, many of you know that the legs will be the last thing that I do, simply because I'm going to go to a lipedema specialist for that, which kind of means for me flying to Turkey, Germany, potentially Spain is another option, because they're all cheaper than Australia. So I won't be flying back to Australia for that surgery. And that's what I will do. But I cannot risk spending 20,000 Australian dollars on my legs. That's kind of what I'm looking at, to fly to, say, Spain was the most recent prices I looked at, to do the liposuction that's specialized for lipedema with a lipedema specialist surgeon, and a skin removal, skin lift, thigh lift, full leg lift it will be for me, because I have lipedema from my thighs down to my ankles. So it would be a lift all the way up. And that would include 4 weeks in Spain with accommodation, that kind of thing is kind of what I'm looking at this point. So I don't want to spend that kind of money if I'm going to come back and just let myself eat anything, sit around, be sedentary, not move my lymphatics, not do my calf raises. You know what I mean? So we've got to kind of get truly honest with ourselves. And before we spend that kind of money, before many of you have taken money out of your superannuation, which is, for my American friends, 401k, to pay for these sorts of surgeries. So before we all do that, we've got to be honest about, are we prepared to do the things that we've got to do afterwards to keep it off? And I liken this to weight loss surgery. Before your weight loss surgery, you have to go on a pre-op diet. Now, the pre-op diet is not to lose weight before surgery. People think, oh, if I could lose weight, I would have already done that, right? It's actually to shrink your liver so that they can move your liver aside easily to get to your stomach to have the surgery. And I don't know about you, but I really wanted my surgeon to be able to see what he was doing. So I was happy to do the pre-op diet. But here's the thing, it's very strict. And if I wasn't prepared to do that 4 weeks, for me it was 4 weeks, for other people it's longer, 6 weeks, whatever. It depends on your surgeon and your team. If I wasn't prepared to eat that way beforehand, I wasn't going to do it afterwards either. And we've all seen people that have had weight loss surgery and then put weight back on very quickly. And it's because they haven't changed their eating habits, right? And so they're still eating the same rubbish, let's be honest, processed foods, seed oils, sugars that got them in this situation in the first place. And that puts the weight back on. Doesn't matter that's in small amounts. The body doesn't cope too well with those sorts of things. Our body doesn't know what to do with processed foods for a start. It's like, what is this? Oh, I'm not sure. Let's put it in a fat cell and just keep it safe. Put some stuff around it so that it's safe from the rest of the body, because I really don't know what it is. That's kind of what our body does, right? And with lipedema, we attract more weight. So it's very easy to go down a slippery slope. I'm going off on a tangent. I just wanted to have this discussion, and I want you to talk to me down below. Have you done this? Have you had the surgery and it's just come back on, but you know that you haven't changed anything? You haven't changed your movement habits. You haven't changed your eating habits. You haven't changed your stress levels. That's kind of one of the overriding factors that none of us deal with, because we don't want to look at our feelings, because that's yucky. And what are we going to do with them? And what happens once they're out there, right? We might have to, walk away from people that we don't like, or whatever it is. It scares the bejesus out of us dealing with our stress, which is why it's still such a big impact on our bodies and our health, right? So, Are you willing to do compressions? If you're not willing to wear compressions before surgery, what makes you think you're going to wear compressions after surgery? If you're not willing to go without the seed oils before surgery, what makes you think you're going to go without them after surgery? Right? Because I can tell you this, you feel amazing. You feel like you're bulletproof. You feel like you can do anything, eat anything, sit around for as long as you like because your body looks amazing. Well, it looks amazing compared to what you've dealt with, right? I don't think by any means that I have a great body, but I'm really happy with my body now compared to what I have had for the last 30 years. So, all of these things, you've got to do them first. So, I think I've got a video here somewhere, the 8 conservative therapies of lipedema. So, certain um, so things like compressions and vibration plates and those sorts of things, and just movement and eating in a way that helps our lipedema or at least halts it. So if you're not willing to do that first, or at least in the lead up to your surgery, so that you get a good glimpse of what life should be like after surgery, so that you haven't wasted all your hard earned money or your hard saved money out of your superannuation, then I would say surgery is not for you. And that's tough. That's a hard call because we all want the magic bullet. We know how horrible lipedema is, and we know how we feel different to everybody else. And it's heartbreaking because we know people are looking at us going, oh, she just can't control her food, right? And to a degree, they're right. But it's not the amount of food, it's the kinds of foods. So if we can't control the kinds of foods that stop lipedema from growing, then it's going to grow back. And that is just even more heartbreaking in my life. That's what drives me to get on the scales every morning, to continue to, where's my measuring tape that I always hold up? That's why I keep it on my desk, right? That's why I keep my vitamin D on my desk, right? I keep everything on my desk that I need to make sure I do every single day. And it doesn't matter that I've been on holidays or that I've had a few days of my husband's birthday last week, so we ate all the treats and the cake and so on. I still force myself to get on the scales every single day. Because while I'll let myself have a few days or a week of being away, of, being human and having the joy and all that kind of thing, I refuse to let my body get back out of control, because that's like a promise I've broken to myself. Doesn't matter what promises you've made to children, spouses, whatever. It's the promise you make to yourself. When you have weight loss surgery, when you have lipedema surgery, it's like you're telling your body and yourself that it's okay, we're going to take care of you now. But then you let yourself down by doing all the things that got you out of control in the first place. We're not going to do that. All right. It means always checking in. This channel is more about me checking in and reminding myself once or twice a week that, hang on a sec, I have to keep going here, or I'm going to go back to my 130 kilo self that felt awful, that judged myself, that criticized myself, that felt like everybody was staring at me, that looked at chairs when I walked into a restaurant is that going to hold my weight, right? Going on planes and having to ask for extender seat belts, all of those things, not being able to buy clothes that fit me or that I like. I am still, nearly 4 years after weight loss surgery, and, a couple of years after having arms that can wear any kind of clothes I like. I still don't know what my style is, because after 30 years of feeling like I just need to buy the clothes that make me look slightly slimmer. And when I look back at some of the clothes in photos that I wore and felt like I looked slim in, I look back and go, wow, I was so much bigger than what I thought I was in my head, right? So all of these things, I want to make a promise to myself that I'm not going to go backwards, that I'm going to keep living the healthiest, best, happiest life that I can. And that's why I give myself the balance of when I go away, I'll eat the foods, but I don't let it go on for too long. I pull myself back pretty instantly, um, because I'm not going down that road, and I'm not going to break my own heart again, because nobody else is going to do this for us. Hate to say it. The surgery is not a magic bullet. If we don't do the work that we need to do and make the promises that we need to do, that we need to make to ourselves and actually keep those promises. So that's just my little take, and that's my hard truth for you. Because if we want the pleasure and we want the happiness and we want the freedom of living in a body that feels good to us, then we have to actually do the hard stuff as well, because there's no shade without the light. There's no joy without the pain. We wouldn't understand. There's no dark without, there's the flip side of everything. There's no yin without the yang. So I know that it's not an easy life, lipedema, but nobody's got an easy life. Everybody's dealing with something, and somebody else's thing is just as painful to them as, lipedema is to us. So comparing and complaining and saying, oh, I wish I didn't have this, and it's all right for her. She's skinny. She can eat whatever she wants. No, she'll have some other kind of pain going on in her life that she doesn't tell you about either. All right. So this is about us. Let's bring it back to, what are you willing to promise yourself when it comes to your lipedema journey? And what are you willing to do for yourself to make yourself feel good?